I have just started the recording function of GoToWebinar, and I will be sharing that with the CFTA so that they can make it part of their online access. I'd like to begin by thanking the CFTA for the opportunity to give this presentation today, and for those members of the CFTA who have joined us online. The session is scheduled to take about 45 minutes, and we'll begin with a brief introduction of the two companies involved here. My company, TSA Advet, is most well known for our engineering document management software that we've been producing and supporting and sharing for the last 31 years. It's involved with the management of CAD and BIM and Office applications and so on, and a big part of document management is document markup and collaboration. And it is that need that led us to establish a relationship with Bluebeam Software out of California. We are two things in our relationship with Bluebeam. One, we are an authorized Bluebeam partner, meaning that we're a reseller partner who is authorized to sell, support, and represent the product. But we're also a development partner to make their products and our products work even more seamlessly than they do out of the box already. As far as Bluebeam, the company itself is concerned, a brief summary of them. Bluebeam was founded in 1997. Their entire focus is the paperless workflows that leverage the PDF file format to allow you to create, edit, annotate, collaborate on PDF documents anywhere, anytime with one source of truth, as they like to say. They are one of the fastest growing technology companies in the United States and have been for the last several years. They have offices in many locations. And you'll notice on many of the slides today, including this one on the lower left-hand corner, should you choose to wish to download a copy of Bluebeam Revu, you can do so at any time by accessing that web portal, www.bluebeam.com/trial/TSA-Advet. And what that would allow you to do is to download a fully functional 30-day free trial version of the software so that you can begin to experiment with it. Now, there is no way in 1 hour that, or 45 minutes really, that we can cover everything that is possible with Bluebeam. It's simply not possible. So we've chosen a few things, 4 or 5 things that we consistently hear from our Campus FM people that we interface with that are issues they're dealing with. And the very first one of those is interaction with BIM models, in particular Revit models and drawing sheets, and how Bluebeam Revu can be an alternative to, say, downloading, maintaining, and learning all of the various BIM 360 modules that are available from Autodesk, like glue and layout and field and building ops, and there's just a whole slew of them that are available. Then we're also going to talk about quantity takeoffs, punch list, room lists, revision comparisons, which is a large part of the document PDF management that Bluebeam is known for. And then probably the second most powerful part of Bluebeam is the cloud-based project collaboration. We'll actually take some documents and go live onto their cloud, and we'll have multiple people marking up a document, and then we'll take that document and show you how that you could share that back into, say, a campus GIS map if indeed that's something that you guys are interested in doing. Now, Bluebeam Revu is most well known for its markup capabilities, redlining of drawings, whether they started life as a PDF or whether they were extracted from, say, a Revit model, or whether they were brought over from MicroStation or AutoCAD or Word or Excel, or however it wound up into a PDF format. Their primary capability that most people talk about are these markups and redlining capability. So as a standalone product, it's got a great feature for that facing that specific issue. We do want to point out that Bluebeam Revu, everything it does is ISO compliant, so it is 100% compatible with people who are not using Bluebeam. So if you use Bluebeam Revu to mark up drawings and create drawings and do various things with them, you can share them with anyone and they'll be able to open the document, they'll be able to see the markups, and they'll even be able to access the history of who said what when, which is part of the markup capabilities of Revu. In addition to that, though, it's important that you also are aware that they provide their own viewing product. It's 100% free. It works on either the iPad or Windows-based operating systems. You can download it for free, you can install it for free, and it is a great alternative to the Acrobat Reader, for example. But here, it's got one advantage that the Acrobat Reader will not have, and that is this, is that when you, using Bluebeam Revu, connect to the Bluebeam Studio in order to host what is called a studio session, it can be attended by and participated in by people using either Revu or the View product. In essence, when somebody using the free viewer connects to one of these studio sessions, it inherits the markup capability that it doesn't have under normal conditions. Speaking of studio sessions, you should think of them as a virtual conference room type of scenario where many people are gathering together in a common location in order to view documents, communicate to each other, mark those documents up, and make some design decisions. Now, it's not a physical location where everybody's walking into. In the case of a studio session, you know, this gentleman could be in New Orleans, this lady could be in Boston, this gentleman could be in San Francisco. We're all coming together virtually on the cloud to do the same things we would do inside of a conference room. And just like a conference room, we can meet simultaneously and interactively live markup documents and see what each other is doing. Or we can leave the conference room or leave the studio session, and the documents that are part of that studio session will remain in there, and people can come and go as they please and make comments and markups on various documents. And it doesn't matter whether we're meeting interactively together or doing it in this synchronized way. Whoever said what when to any of these documents is captured, tracked, and made part of the PDF for future uses. Just a brief PowerPoint summary of some of the markup tools that are available here in this next series of slides there are obvious things like placing text and using pens and highlighters. You can place clouds. You can place what they call call-outs, which are clouds with notes associated with them. You can establish stamps like release for construction, you know, not to scale, whatever you want to do, you can create a stamp for that. There are powerful measurement tools so that if you open a PDF document and it's got some dimensions drawn on it, but it wasn't, say, plotted to scale, you can calibrate a scale by simply clicking on the PDF document and saying between here and here is 15 feet, and it will remember that as you begin to do square footage calculations or perimeter measurements, area measurements. You can even add a Z depth to do volume calculations in addition to area calculations and so on. There are special markup tools, which I'll show some of them to you today. My favorites are the document compare and document overlay. This is the ability to take complex engineering documents and perform this sort of cartoon type of thing that we did as kids, where you take two documents and you compare them to one another, and what the system will do is it will point out either through the series of red and green indicators as to what was added or taken away, or if you use the compare feature, it'll simply draw a cloud around anything that is different between document 1, maybe Rev A, maybe Rev B, or an entire folder full of things that are there. You can search for text strings, but it also has another one of my favorites, or visual searching, so that you can place a rectangle around an object and it will go through an entire multi-page PDF or a selection of open PDFs that are there, or again an entire folder of PDF documents that you point it to, and it will look for the existence of that graphic symbol in all of those documents and then report back to you, and we'll show you some of that live as well. As I said, anything you do in a studio session is tracked. It is captured and tracked, and it knows who said what when and what type of markup they put onto the document. That is also true for any markup done by anybody, even in an offline basis like we're talking about here. So, in a nutshell, that's a lot of what Bluebeam Revu can do as far as a markup utility. Bear with me just one second. Someone asked a question. By the way, if you do have a question, just use that question panel because the webinar automatically mutes everyone except the presenter. It says, can you use Bluebeam Revu as a replacement for Acrobat Professional for documents that are not CAD-based documents like specs and O&Ms? And that's absolutely true. Yes, you could. The PDF, as I may have said it before this particular person joined, is it doesn't matter how the PDF became a PDF, whether it started life from scratch or whether it came from an Office document or from a Revit model, which we're about to do, or from AutoCAD or MicroStation or wherever it came from. Once it's a PDF document, you can go into Revu and you can mark it up, and you can even edit the content of the original document should you want to allow that as an organization. So I'm going to exit out of this PowerPoint and minimize it down here. On my screen, I've got several things running. One of the things that is not running right now is Revit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click on Revit, and I'm going to go open a basic model. Now, this RVT file is a RVT file that is delivered with Autodesk Revit for Architecture. Anybody who's ever opened the application has probably seen this model. What I'm going to do with this model is I'm going to extract a couple of things from it and open it up over in Bluebeam Revu. Now, Bluebeam Revu has, just for your information, has 3 levels of products. There's Bluebeam Revu Standard, there's Bluebeam Revu CAD, and there's Bluebeam Revu Extreme. I am using Extreme, which allows me everything. But in a nutshell, Bluebeam Standard has all of the markup capabilities and the studio session and studio project capabilities, and it comes with plugins for Microsoft Office applications so that you can extract Excel spreadsheets, Word documents, PowerPoints, even email, either by plotting them or using the plugin utility that's there. Bluebeam Revu CAD has all of that, plus some plugins for engineering design applications like SolidWorks, Navisworks, Revit, Autodesk, and AutoCAD, and some others. And then Extreme has all of that, plus some additional capabilities like redaction and OCR for documents that were created without being text searchable. You can OCR process those if you have Revu Extreme, and it's got some other capabilities as well. But the vast majority of what I'm showing you today is available through the Bluebeam Revu Standard product, except for these Revit and maybe 1 or 2 other things, and I'll point those out to you. So in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the 3D view and show you one of the first integrations with Bluebeam and Revit, and that is the ability to extract a 3D model as a 3D model. In here, if I go to add-ins, all I have to do to create a 3D PDF of this is simply go to the pull-down menu and say create a 3D PDF. It's going to say where do you want to put it. For my purposes here, I'm just going to shove it on my desktop for now, and I'll say that this is going to be a 3D model, and I will generate a PDF of that. Now, this is a true PDF. It could be sent to anybody. but it is being written to my desktop as we speak right now. Now, I've done some testing with this, and just for your information, what I've seen as a general result is this 3D PDF is roughly 25% of the size of the original RVT file. All right? It is fully rotatable. As you can see here, I'm spinning this thing around in and out and zooming in and so on. It also has capabilities like, for example, I can click on any of these objects. I can right-click and say I'd like to hide that object, so that as I am zooming in and out or trying to see inside of the model, I can very selectively choose what it is that I'm after. And it also has the capability, I'll zoom out a little further here, to do things like cutting planes. What I'm going to do is turn on the cross-section properties, and you see it's automatically going to a Z value plane, and then I can move that up or down depending on where I want to cut through the building at, or I could change that to an X plane or a Y plane, or you could do what they call X flipped, so that you can see it the other way around, and again continue to cut these cross sections through it. And then any one of these images that you see here, you would be able to right click on that and say that you'd like to do a captured image of that. Say perhaps you want to email a graphic of that. You can also, though, a lot of people are unaware of the fact that you can mark up a 3D model using these utilities. So if there was something about, let's say this ottoman, this brown ottoman here, I can place a cloud around that, and I can place some text associated with that if that's what I'm after, and I'll say replace with leather, for example. Now, that markup is part of this 3D model here. So if I go back to the standard view and I choose to turn off, say, the cross sections and so on, notice how my markup, if I zoom in and out or rotate around, my markup becomes this blue sphere, and there could be many of those throughout the model. The way Bluebeam Revu works with this 3D model capability is if you click on the sphere, it automatically remembers the view orientation and all of the view settings that were enabled when that markup was created, and it will automatically reorient the model so that the attention is immediately drawn exactly to the comment that was there. And like any other markup, it is listed in the markup list as to who placed which comment when it was done, and then there's a whole series of variables that you can associate it with it to do material takeoffs and responsibility lists and so on. Right? But that's just one example, and I'm really not even going to keep this 3D model. I'm just going to kill it here and say, would you like to save it? No. And this is a floor plan that's already open in Revu. Now, I'm going to go into another model in Revit. First, I'm going to pop over here and just kill the entire session. This model here, this drawing, came from a Revit model, but instead of dumping a 3D model, I went to the floor plan view, and I said I'd like to extract one of these floor plans. And then from there, I began to mark it up with rooming lists and punch list symbols. And if you're using the iPad version, or even with a desktop version, if you've captured photographs that are on your hard drive or accessible to you, when you're doing your comments and markups and things, you can also include graphics. And in this case, the punch list said there was a wall tape joint that visible that needed further work. If I go to the properties of that markup, that's been assigned to a contractor called Johnson's Drywall, and I've even included a graphic photograph of the problem that I need this particular contractor to deal with. And then again, this is a standard PDF that can be shared with anyone. So if I chose to do so, I could simply say, let's email this to whomever, and I can go into my distribution list and contact list, and I can say, I want to send this out to Johnson Controls. But more likely, what I would want to do is maybe my email says, you know, hey Randy, we need to talk about this. tomorrow at 2 o'clock, meet me online in one of our studio sessions, and let's talk about it interactively and decide what to do about that, and we'll do that in just a minute. The other thing I wanted to do was show you how I generated these floor plans from a Revit model and how easily you could do it as well. So I'm going back to Revit. I'm going to minimize Revu here, and I'm going to go back to Revit, and I'm going to tell it to open a different RVT file. Now, while it's doing that, I am going to pop up my browser here that is actually already running in the background, and I'm going to point that to a URL, excuse me, and let me cut and paste that in there for you. This is, just for your information, a website that I simply went to the web when I wanted to grab some 3D Revit models and did a search for sample project files, and this is one called Enscape. They specialize in visualization for Revit models and so on. But they have these downloadable project files, and should you be interested in doing some experimentation, you can also go to this www.enscape3d.com/Revit-sample-project, and they've got 2 or 3 Revit models in there that you could download, and again, and if you had any interest in experimenting with some of these things and doing exactly what I'm doing in this video. Now that Revit model is open. By the way, this is a 50 megabyte RVT file, and when I extracted a 3D model of it to a 3D PDF, it became 9 megabytes. So again, it's roughly about 25% or of the original, or 75% reduction in the size of the file when you're bringing it to PDF as opposed to native RVT. Now in this RVT file, there are already rooms established. It knows that this is Office Space 321 and this is a Media Review Room 320 and so on. Now in the add-in from Review, now there's going to be an error message here just simply saying my plotter, oh actually it didn't do it that time. Typically it tells me my printer is not capable of printing a 3D model and so on, but I guess I've got that turned off. When I am extracting floor plans, some of the things you can choose to do are to export the rooms to spaces without measurements, or you can export the spaces with the rooms taking on area measurements and automatically subtracting openings. So those are various configuration options that are available to you. If I do that, for example, what I could do then in Review, like in over here in one of these already extracted floor plans, I could come into the Spaces viewer here. Instead of looking at pages or other documents, I can go into the spaces for this floor plan, and I can choose any one of those spaces, and I can manually do a create area measurement, and I could do that again and again and again for any of the various rooms or spaces or zones that that I am interested in that came from that Revit model. Or you can have it done automatically, which is what I'm doing here. I'm saying not only bring over the rooms as spaces, but also do area calculations at the same time. So I'm simply now going to say create a PDF of this, and it already knows that I've done some others from this model, and it knows where I put them. So it's simply asking, you know, where do you want to put this thing? And I'll put it down here, and I'll say that this is floor plan 3, which we're doing live, and now it's going to process that, and it's going to create a 2D PDF of that floor plan with all the information that was necessary. Now, as you can see, it's already done the area calculations, and if I scroll into here, for every room, there is an area measurement, and it knows that this is a metric version of this model that is working in millimeters. Obviously, you can put it in whatever you want. But I don't want to see those area measurements. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to do what they call a lasso, and I'll grab all of those area measurements, and I will create a new layer to get them onto a new layer. I'll call it square footage, or you can call it whatever you want. And then under the layer window, I can choose what I want to see or not to see at any given time. Now, over in the floor plan for level 1 and level 2, I've already placed a room list, and I've already created this this legend inside of the file itself. That's one of many things that you can do, and we're going to do that live here in just a second. One of the other things you could do is, if you needed to run a report of, let's say, this wing of these square footage calculations and rooms and so on, in addition to popping up a legend, you can also go here and you can create a summary report in either a CSV, XML, PDF. There's various types of formats you can go to. I'm going to go to CSV. I'm not going to bother to modify any of the standard columns, although all of that can be configured. I'm simply going to say dump these selected area measurements into a comma-separated file. It'll ask me to verify various choices that are available to me. Again, I'm going to dump it on the desktop. It's creating floor plan 3 CSV, and as soon as it is done doing so, it opens up in Microsoft Excel. And then I can take any column, any piece of information, I can sort it, I can change the column orders, I can add additional information, and do whatever I want to this report before I save the file and then share it with my management or whoever needs it via whatever methods are available to me. In those other documents, I have already placed these drawing lists, and what I did is there's a series of things in Revu that you can save, any kind of markup that you do as you're doing it. Let's say I place a cloud from here to here. That cloud has now been stored in my recent tools, and I can choose to use that cloud again, and I can place a different shape of it, or I can double click on it and place an exact copy of that cloud, and you can do that with any markup that you're putting into the drawing that you want to make a cloud. Well, this drawing list is a markup like any other, and I have stored it into one of these tool sets for use later on. So what I can do then is I can simply say I'd like a rooming list here, and you'll see the it comes in as the original graphic that I saved, but when I click and let go, it is waiting to be associated with the spaces and rooms of this drawing as opposed to where it was generated. So again, I'll use that lasso tool, and I'll just come down here and grab all of these rooms, and when they're highlighted, I'll right click and tell it that I would like them associated with that rooming list legend, and then now this has been updated to have all of the information from this file as opposed to the original from where it came. Now here you should notice, I'm going to zoom in over here. You'll notice some of the materials and totals are blanked out, whereas they were fulfilled in the other documents. That's because somebody went through and either collectively or selectively went through and told that this corridor 328 is based on hardwood, and this corridor is based on tile, and this electrical room is, the flooring is based on concrete. And each of those materials has a value associated with it. So as you're telling it the material type, it's automatically adjusting your rooming list or your room schedule to have the length, area, materials, totals, and so on, all of which is modifiable by selecting the legend and going to its document properties and changing all the properties over there. In addition to that, I have also, I'm going to, again, real quickly, and then we'll move on to the studio session stuff. Here, I'm going to real quickly put these on a new layer. When Revu got confused previously, it lost that layer that I had done before, so we're just getting that out of the way. Now let's say I want to use these tool sets here, and I want to do some markup, some punch list type of activities, like the door closer in this particular room is not working properly, and the door closer in this room, and the door closer in this room, or we have another one of those tape wall joints over here and over here and over here that need to be corrected as well. Well, I have more than one legend template. I've created a legend template here for punch list, and now I would simply do the same thing I would do with the rooming list. I would simply do a selection of the various punch list symbols and tell it I would like to have them associated with the punch list legend that's on the drawing. Again, totally configurable. And then from here, I can go into, again, the markups here, and I can begin to assign responsibilities. This is a wall tape problem, so that's going to go to Johnson's drywall. And then if I scroll down, we'll see the various other ones that are here. And in this case, this is a door adjuster that needs to be corrected, so we'll assign that to Grady's door, and so on and so forth. It will also, if I continue to add punch lists, now that the two are associated together, it will continue to update. If I put two door closer symbol, punch list symbols inside of the same room, then what it would do is it would do a cumulative quantity. So it would say within this room there are two of these things that need to be addressed by Grady's doors, and so on. So it's a really neat feature of taking things out of Revu and bringing them into out of Revit and bringing them into Revu in order to do these types of calculations and activities. Now let's see, I do have some more questions. Let me click on those. Okay, I will be covering, for the questions I'm seeing here, I will be covering that in just a moment, so I will address it at that time. All right. Okay, now, some of the other things you can do, and what I want to do here is I'm going to go into a series of, these are pinned project locators where you can easily regain access to projects that you've already been working on. I don't need floor 3. I'm not going to bother to save it, or floor 2, or floor 1. I'm going on to a completely new project here. This is also a project that I downloaded, and it came with a series of floor plans and a series of elevations and sections and 3D, 2D PDFs of 3D images and so on. And using the markup utility, it's called Auto Hyperlink, I told it to look for the everywhere that there was a elevation or section detail with a value of 43001, and what it built into the PDF automatically are these hyperlinks, so that if I click on that detail or elevation link, it will not only take me to the correct document, it'll take me to the correct elevation within that document. This document has elevations 1, 2, 3, and 4. The one I just clicked on was obviously 4. But if I slide in over here a little bit closer, you'll see that this is section number 2, so it goes to building section number 2. And if I come back over here and say that I would like section, let's see, number 1, it's the same document, but it's now changed its view to section number 1 and so on. So those hyperlinks are really valuable capabilities there. You can manually put in your own. I've pasted a hyperlink here that says if I click on that piece of text, take me to whatever that stair detail is. So those are some of the various things that you can do there. Now, some of the other things you can do that I think are really valuable is you can build your own tool lists here, not just from markups, but from content from the drawing itself. Let's say that this chair here, I think we need more of those in other rooms. One of the things you can do is you can go to Edit, and you can do what is called a snapshot. And with this snapshot going, what I'll do is I'll simply click and place a rectangle around that object, and it has now extracted a copy of that object that I could then paste back in wherever I want to. Now, I don't want to place copies of it exactly, because if I generated this from a Revit model, I want to be able to tell the difference between the ones that I extracted and the ones I added automatically. So one of the things you can do is, while it's selected as a markup image, you can do things like change the color. So I'll say I want the black part of this to become red, and I could remove various things, but red is good enough. And then this I can add to any of these tool sets over here. So if I right click and I say that I'd like to add that to my Enscape tool set, now what I have is, in addition to what I had before, I've got an instance of this chair. Now that I can kill, and then from here I can change various attributes about it and so on. But then I can use that symbol later on. I can come in and say that, say in this area here, I think we need, 6 of these and that type of thing. Now the beauty of that is, when I come here to my markup list, those are also, right now it's just taking the default value of snapshot, but we could change any of these column subjects and status and comments and responsibilities, and all of that stuff would be up to date with these additional items that we put in there. In fact, some of the people who use MicroStation, who use Revu, MicroStation has the ability to plot a cell library, in essence, to create a drawing that has all of the symbols from a cell library, the block symbols, what they call cells, in the drawing, and then that can be plotted to PDF and brought into Revu, and you can very, very rapidly recreate an entire cell library of MicroStation symbols inside of a Revu tool set. But ultimately, what we're trying to get here is we're trying to communicate this information with other people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stair detail, and I'm going to take this floor plan, and I'm going to go open one of these cloud-based collaborative sessions. To do that, you simply go to here and you connect to the cloud server. Now the cloud server I'm using is the Bluebeam corporate public cloud server, and it's available for anybody who has Revu to take advantage of it. However, if your company or agency or school would like to have their own behind the firewall cloud capabilities for specific people, you can do that as well. I'm simply using the one that is provided out of the box. Now, as you can see, I've already got various sessions running. I've got multiple projects active, and what I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to start a new studio session that I can allow people to come in and collaborate with me. So I'll call this session CFTA webinar, and typically you would restrict access to only invited people, but I'm going to open it wide open right now so that anybody who wishes to join this session who has Revu or View, either one, all they need to interactively participate is this session ID. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this document here and I'm going to save the chair changes that we did, and I'm going to tell it I'd like to open that into our studio session. In essence, I just pinned it on the wall in that virtual conference room so that anybody can see it and anybody can comment on it and mark up on it as long as they have access to the studio session. And I'm going to do the same thing with this stair detail. I'm going to bring that over and make it accessible to anyone as well. All right. Now, I'm going to have, if you'll bear with me just one second, I'm going to let a couple of people log in online and to collaborate with me on this, these particular documents. All right. So what I'm doing is I grabbed a laptop computer, and I also have an iPad running over here, and I have View on one of them and I have Revu on one of the others, and I'm simply going to go online through one of these other machines. Now this could be a user in any city, anywhere on the planet, or even on a plane somewhere between cities, and all they have to do is say that they want to join this session and key in the ID, which is 765 866 and 218. And as soon as they do so, here, we'll click on that, you'll be able to see that not only am I in participating in this studio session, so is somebody else, and what that person is using is just View on a desktop. But because they are connected to our studio session, it inherits the capabilities, and they're able to participate. So if we what I just did is I clicked on those orange feet over there, and what that tells Revu is that we would like to follow the person in the field that we're communicating with. I'm not doing that on my machine, they're doing that, and I'm able to follow them around, and that gives me the ability to see any of the markups that they choose to put inside of the drawing. All right, so there they placed a cloud, and here they've placed a red circle around that for some reason. They can even, if they choose to do so, grab one of their markups that they really want to draw my attention to, and they can say, I want to alert another attendee, and then when they hit OK, what it will do is you'll see my notifications section is flashing down here, indicating that this person has placed that red line and they really want me to pay attention to it. And we can be on the phone talking to each other. We can be doing this interactively or in a synchronized way. And if I disagree with whatever comments they put on there, I cannot change this person's markup, because when we're in a studio session, what he or she said is sacred, and what I say is sacred, and we're kept away from each other. However, I can grab any of their markups, like this one here, and I can reply to it, saying that, I disagree, for these reasons, let's discuss next Friday, and so on. Now, here again, as I go into the markup history, it knows that that person placed that cloud and that person placed that call out, but it also knows that I placed a reply to that saying, that I disagree for whatever reasons. All right. Now, this could continue for weeks. It can continue for a few hours. You can put a deadline where the online session ends next Thursday at noon. There's all kinds of things you can do inside of this. But let's say that we're happy with the comments that we've done so far. The person hosting the session can at any time decide to finish it and decide what to do with the markups. Here, what I'm going to tell it to do is I'm going to tell it to take these new markups and just put them out on my desktop. I'll do that for now. Instead of overriding or not saving the changes at all, I want to put this on my desktop. And another thing I want to do is I want to create a summary report which shows me who did what when, and I'll say that I want to create a PDF package version of that, and I'll hit OK. All right, and now the session is being closed. And anybody who was online has now been notified that these files have been downloaded, and the session has now ended. On my other computer, I've just now been kicked out of that session because it's simply no longer valid. All right, now this is what it created is, I'll get out of Revit, which has been running in the background all this time. It created the 3D model that I saved previously, and then it put these new documents down here, and these are the ones there. And if I double click on any one of them, that will open them back up in Revu. Now, we didn't really do any commenting on the stair, but if we go to the plans one, we'll see down here that the cloud and the markup and the chairs and all those various things are there. All right. Now, the last part of this was to round trip it to feed it into a GIS system. Now, there's lots of different ways of doing that. What I'm going to focus on here is how our customers who are using GIS would do it. And all of our customers who are doing GIS maps of various industries, highway departments and college campuses and utility companies and petrochemical companies and whatever, when they have a graphic map like this campus map here, when they go to one of the objects and tell me more about it, that is being fed by our document management system, and that's a result here where I simply clicked on a building, said give me whatever you got. Here's one here, it's called Worcester Institute, and if I say give me every document you got, it tells me it's got 8 documents, all of which are TIFF files right now with various forms of metadata associated with them. In that scenario, all you have to do to feed your GIS system is drag the document into the project folder and it will do it automatically. So what I'm going to do here is go to the University of Pennsylvania. I'll go down to the Worcester Institute project folder. That's where those 8 TIFF files are now, and I'll take these 2 PDFs that we've been working on. I'll just drag and drop them in there. It says you're going to move those there. Is there any particular information that you want associated with it? I'm going to change my environment real quick to the University of Penn environment so that I have the proper metadata that I need to make all this work. All right, and I'll grab those and drag and drop them. And really the only thing I need to tell it is the project number or the building number for this particular building, and that has now been, these documents have now been added to the database. They've got not all the metadata they should have, that I would just pop in here, but they've got all the metadata they absolutely need to make the GIS engine work. So if I now come back over here and choose the building and say, what do you have available to you, not only do I have the 8 TIFF documents that were there, but now I have these PDF documents that were modified and adjusted based on the studio session. And then if I click on that, then it will open it up again, and you'll be able to see that all of the information that was gathered and embedded into the PDF is instantly available to anyone who has access to that particular GIS map. All right. Now I'm going to wrap this up and go back and look at real quickly the Q&A list here. Oh yeah, one of the questions is, can you also save out as a PDF-A or an archive PDF? And the answer to that is absolutely you can. When you're working in Revu and you have a document open, say for example this one here, when you go to save, you could do a save as, and there's a whole slew of file format types, one of which is PDF-A. You can also take a PDF or information from a PDF and you can bring it into Word or Excel or other applications as well. One other question is, which document management solutions work with Bluebeam Revu? Well, obviously we hope that you would use Falcon DMS, our engineering document management system, for that. However, it will work with Bentley's ProjectWise, and it also, even though we don't consider it a document management system, it does interface pretty well with SharePoint, Microsoft SharePoint. There are no other document management systems that Bluebeam lists as a compatible document management system beyond those 3. Now, it doesn't mean that it won't work with them. It simply means that that it's not in their list of compatible document management solutions, and you would need to test it with yours to see if it is indeed compatible. Okay, I have 2:50, and I'm going to wait another maybe 2 minutes to see if anyone has any additional questions. And at the end of that 2 minutes, if no one does, then I will end the webinar. Okay, and the last thing I'll note is that if you look at your interface, there should be a button on there that looks like a document. There are 3 PDF files associated with this webinar that you can download. One is called PDF Revu One Sheet, one is called PDF Bluebeam Studio, and one is called UPenn V7 Combined. And all 3 of those are available for you to download. In essence, they are one-sheet summaries of the markup capabilities of Revu, the studio collaboration capabilities of Revu, and then a profile of our University of Pennsylvania client working with our document management products. All right, well, that's it for today then. I want to thank you all for taking the time to participate. If you have any additional questions, feel free to contact me at any time. And again, I will remind you one last time, if you'd like to download a fully functional free 30-day evaluation of the Bluebeam Revu product, you can go to bluebeam.com/trial/TSA ADVET, ADVET. Thank you.